Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Glad you could join us for the Body Language Show today. You guys that are here in the office, and also the over 100 people who have decided to join us online. So can you guys turn and just wave at everybody who's joining us online? Thank you. Yeah, the camera right there. You wave at them because we're really excited that they can be here. We love technology. That means that we can broadcast this. I've received messages from several countries of people who have told me that they have watched us and joined us online for these body language shows. So I'm glad that all of you are here this morning. Now, my question for you is, how many of you know very much about body language? No hands on that one. How many of you want to know what the person sitting next to you is saying with their body language? Hey, there's some hands. Some of you are like, I don't know if that's allowed. Can I actually answer that question? Well, my name is Ann Washburn, and does everybody have one of these? Show me yours. So I see you have one. Awesome. If you see on the back here, this is a little bit about me. That is me. See, we match. And then on the front here is the part I want to draw your attention to right now. It says the body language show. The body language show. It's interesting to think about body language. Body language is not something we listen to, but it is something that communicates. Because the way body language actually works, is that when people hear you say something, they actually watch to see if the message you send with your body language matches what you said with your words. People actually check in with that because the reason they do that is we are wired to protect ourselves. And so we are checking in with other people to see if there's a discrepancy. And if there is a discrepancy, it's fascinating. Science has found, and I always like to say they found because it's not like they created it, it's just that they finally found a way to describe it. Science has found that when there is a discrepancy between our three main parts of communication, that there is a certain percentage of the time that we will choose the words to decide what the meaning is. A certain percentage of time we will use the tone to decide the meaning, and then a certain percentage of the time we will use the body language to decide the meaning. And so when there's this discrepancy, that is a fascinating piece to check in with. Because if this is our pie chart of communication, when the messages don't match, only 7% of the time do people use the words as the deciding factor for the meaning. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So if my words and my body language don't match, 7% of the time, people will decide that the words is the real meaning. Did you just hear that? Only 7% of the time, people will decide that the words are the real meaning. 38% of the time, they will use the tone of those words to be what the real meaning is. Okay, we know this, you guys, because how many times do you get in trouble for your tone of voice? Yeah, we get in trouble for that. We get mad at our kids. Hey, don't use that tone of voice with me. We know that tone of voice is sending more message than the words are. But look at this big chunk right here. If you did the math, it's only 9 in the morning. If you like to do math before 9 in the morning, you found out that 55% of the time, our gestures or our body language is what people use to decide the meaning. So if these three pieces don't match, body language is what people are going to go off of. Now, here's the weird part of that. How many people actually know what messages they send with their body language? About 1%. Very few people are actually paying attention to the messages they send with their body language. So because of that, when these don't match, and you aren't paying attention to this message, only to this message and maybe this one, it causes miscommunication. And miscommunication is costly. We live in a world where we have to communicate with people to get things done. In our world, the communication may be online, it may be in text messages or emails, but the communication always has to happen. Because when people work together, results can be better. But the problem is if we work together, but we're miscommunicating all the time, it's kind of like going through your day with giant missed high fives. You're going up to everybody and you're trying to have a high five and you miss everyone. Have you ever tried to give somebody a high five and you missed? That's fun, right? That's what we hope to do. We hold up our hand. All right, let's have a high five, but don't hit my hand. No, we want to connect. But yet this shows we are miscommunicating most of the time. Most of our day is spent in miscommunication. But miscommunication is costly. What areas of our life does miscommunication cost us in? Throw me out some answers. What? Relationships. What kind of relationships? All of them. So let's just list some. Our relationship with our kids, with our spouse, with our parents, our employment, strangers, maybe miscommunication even with the checker at the grocery store, miscommunication with the waiter at the restaurant. Miscommunication can cost us in every relationship in our life, every single one of them, even down to our relationship. Like I have this, I don't have it anymore. I had this couch in my house. And it was a very frustrating couch. Every time I walked in that room, I hated that couch. And it wasn't because it was a bad couch. It was because I had miscommunicated with the salesman. And it was a bad experience by the end. And so I hated the couch because of the relationship. Have you ever experienced something like that? So miscommunication can ruin every relationship in our life. But that's the bad news, but it's also the good news. Because if miscommunication is the costliest thing, is that a word? I made it up. Okay, it's now a word. If miscommunication is the costliest thing, it is also the biggest opportunity to improve our communication. So if we know what causes the miscommunication and we can adjust it, we can now improve every result in our life, every relationship. Anybody here have a relationship in your life you would like to improve? Okay, just notice that all the hands went up on that one. We all have relationships we would like to improve. And so all of you online, all of you here, you made a smart choice to be here today because I'm going to teach you shortcuts to improve that communication. The problem is we walk around this planet going, man, I wish I could communicate better, but we don't know what to try to communicate better. So body language is the coolest thing on the planet because it improves our relationships. And as a body language expert, I see a lot in people that they don't realize the messages they're sending. And so what I notice as I walk around is a lot of hurt people who aren't reaching their potential. And you don't have to be a body language expert to know that that's going on. True? Have you seen that? We have a lot of people who are hurting and who are not reaching their potential. And they're frustrated that they aren't reaching their potential because they feel it on the inside, but they don't know why they can't get there on the outside. And so that's why I love body language, is because this understanding right here is a shortcut to changing our results. In fact, you can look at it this way. If you improve your body language, you improve your results. If you improve your body language, you improve your relationships. If you improve your body language, it improves your bank account. All of our relationships improve if we improve our body language. So to be here today and to learn about body language is an important step, because how many classes in body language have you been offered in your life? One, because you're here. Okay? So this is an important thing. I graduated from college and never have been offered anything in communication like this. Nobody had ever taught me. It was a very frustrating thing to me because when I realized its power, I'm like, I needed to know this sooner. And so that's why I teach these classes every month here and multiple times other places outside of here. Just last week, I was invited up to Evanston, Wyoming to teach a group of people about body language. Because the thing is, if you know humans, they need body language training. Have you ever met a human that needs body language training? Yeah, and you didn't even necessarily know what messages they were sending, but you knew it wasn't good. So to improve that improves our relationships. So who's in? Do you want to learn how to improve relationships today? Yes? All right. So we are in the right place then, because I want to share these things with you. In fact, let's look at your handout here for a second. Inside your handout, there's actually another handout. Look at this. You can pull them apart. It's called multiplication. Wah-ha! So pull them apart. And now you have one called 3 Key Elements Online Academy, and you have another one called the Body Language Show. This one right here is for your reference. 3 Key Elements is an education company, and we have many classes and audio recordings that we offer. And you can look at those in there, but that's for later. So you can put that one down. This one right here, this one makes cool sound effects as you open it. Let's see. As you open it today, let's hear what sound effects it makes. Dun, da-da! Ooh, that was a cool sound. Let's see if yours does it. Ready? Dun, da-da! Hey! So I do have some playful people here. Awesome. Okay, let's try it one more time. Ready? Dun, da-da! Ooh, that is cool stuff in here. Look, you can even fold it backwards if you want and crease it down the side. That is one of the benefits of having come to the room live today, because you get to fold your paper backwards. Right here in this handout, part 1, this is a list of many of the different areas of body language. Because the thing is not every area of your body language sends the same message. If it did, you would only have to concentrate on one thing. Let's say you just have to think about your right hand all day long. Okay, as long as I can manage the body language in my right hand, everything is good. But unfortunately, there are different areas to your body language. And this is something that I noticed people would just take tons of notes on this, so I wrote it down for you so we can just reference it. Because if you look at this, your legs don't send the same message that your hands do. Your shoulders don't necessarily send the same message that your eyes do. So there's different messages that come from different areas of the body. For example, look down here in the lower left-hand corner where it says 4 foundational moves. When you've got it, say, got it? So right there, notice it says, help me out with it. What you push goes away. Well, does that make sense? If you push it, it goes away. Well, what about the second one? What you pull comes towards you. Does that make sense? Absolutely. But then I talk to people. They show up in my office and they go, oh, I just need better relationships in my life. Does that match? I do not want relationships in my life. And it's like, wait a second, those don't match. And when they don't match, that is what I call opportunity to improve. When they don't match, it is opportunity to improve. In fact, one of the easiest places to see this is give somebody a compliment. Very often, one of the most socially acceptable ways to respond to a compliment is to go, oh, thank you. Does that match? Thank you. And they throw it away. They push the compliment away in all its varieties. So you'll see people do this, or they'll say, oh, thank you. And suddenly they have to brush the compliment off. Or, oh, thank you. And then they brush it off. I even had one time, if any of you have watched my TED Talk, I tell this story about how I gave a lady a compliment, because this one week I just decided I wanted to watch the body language of compliments. So I gave everybody compliments all week long. And this one lady goes, oh, thank you. And I was like, wow, that's interesting body language. Does that match? Thank you. Flick. Ugh, get that off of me. Disgusting compliment. But that's what people do. It is socially acceptable to push it away. Now, I'm going to teach you today why your brain would do that. Why your brain would send different messages between your words and your body language. I'm going to show you what's going on. Because when you understand that, it's an opportunity to improve. Remember, it's an opportunity to what? Anybody here want to improve? Yes. All right, so let's say that again. It's an opportunity to improve. Oh, That is pretty cool. How often do you sit down in a class and that's what the teacher says is you are going to have an opportunity to improve? She should, or he should, but yet it's because we don't know what to do to improve. Often we know where we're at and we know where we'd like to be, but we have no clue what's in between. None. And so it's like, I asked you, I said, does anybody here want better relationships or communication? And everybody's like, yes, I do. So we know that that means right where I'm at is not as good as I want to be. I want to be over here better. And yet, what do? We wake up in the morning, we do the same thing over and over and over. We go to bed, we wake up the next day and we go, man, I wish I could improve. Do the same thing over and over and over, go to bed, wake up, man, I wish I could improve. Anybody live this life? And it's like, dang it, I want to do something different. In order to have a different result, you've got to have different behavior. Behavior is what leads to the results. Body language is a behavior. It's a behavior. This crazy guy, well, not crazy guy with crazy hair named Einstein, you heard of him? He said this, he said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a new result. The opposite's also true. Why do we do the same thing over and over, expect that new result? But what if we do something different and expect things to stay the same? It is also insanity. So let's harness the power in that. Let's change the behavior so that we can have a new result. So you have a choice. When you walk out of here today, you have the choice to do everything the same way you've always done it. You can absolutely do that. But don't expect things to get better if you will not try something new. If you won't try something new. Because what happens, here is a little bit about human behavior for you to know. Is we have, so this is you. Aw. Aren't you cute? You are so cute. Look how skinny you are. Oh my gosh. You are beautiful. So we have around us, I'll call this your energy bubble. Einstein also said that everything is made out of energy. And so we actually affect the energy that's directly around us. So there is this, I'm just going to call it your energy bubble. It's kind of a lopsided one that I drew up here, but yours is actually nicer than that one. But this is our energy bubble. The problem is our brain tries to trick us into believing that this space is our safety zone, and we should not leave our safety zone. Here, are you guys willing to play with me a little bit today? Okay, so everybody raise your hand as high as you can raise it for me. As high as you can raise it. Got it? Everybody got it? Okay, now raise it just a little higher. Wait, I told you to raise it as high as you could, and then you still could raise it higher? Your brain tricks you. It tries to make you believe this is all you can do. It's all I can do is that. But the reality is this is our comfort zone. It's our comfort zone. And if I push just a little bit outside of my comfort zone, it is now called what? What do you think a little bit outside of your comfort zone would be called? What would you call it? Growth zone. Ooh, that's a good one. But most people will call it their scary zone or their uncomfortable zone. But the reality is if we're just a little bit out here, and it doesn't have to be clear out here, just a little bit outside of our comfort zone is our growth zone. This becomes the place that we can grow. So let me help illustrate that. Everybody fold your arms for me. Fold your arms. Now, here's the test. Look down and tell me which arm is on top. It's either the right arm or the left arm. Did you get it right? Okay, so it's one of those. Now the trick is you got to remember which one is on top. Now, unfold your arms and fold them back with the other arm on top. I love this. People are like, How do they do that? Okay, got it? How does it feel? Strange, uncomfortable, awkward, different. Okay, hold that feeling for just a second. In science, this feeling you're feeling is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance states your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. In other words, what you're noticing, what you're feeling here is your brain getting a different message than you normally send it. Our body language actually sends messages to our own brain. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. I'm kind of like jumping into the deep end, and we're only at 9:23 in the morning. But that cognitive dissonance is one of the things that tries to fight us from stepping outside of our comfort zone. Because as soon as I step out here, it feels awkward, weird, uncomfortable, different, all those things you just said. Okay, you can unfold your arms now, because I don't want you to fold your arms the whole class. But I want you to experience that. Because we avoid it. We avoid uncomfortable, different, strange, awkward. We avoid it. But the reality is, that's what growth feels like. None of you said when I had you fold your arms the wrong way, oh, that's terrifying. Did you notice that was not anybody's comment? Oh, that's terrifying. But yet, we really do step into this growth zone and feel like we label it scary. But the reality is, it's just different. It's different. So to learn to upgrade your behavior requires an embracing of what is different or awkward. Not that you have to go around awkward all day long. It's just we have to first remember that our brain, trying to keep it safe, bless us heart, that sounds weird. Our brain, trying to keep us safe, bless its heart. Does the brain have a heart? Okay, yeah, I guess it does. Trying to keep us safe, it tells us avoid everything that's different or awkward or strange or uncomfortable. But the reality is, that's what will grow us. If somebody wants to learn to play the piano, or worse yet, let's go violin. Have you ever had a kid practice the violin when they first got it home? And it's like, oh, I don't know if I can live until they learn how to play that thing. Screech, 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 screech. Now, there might be a piece in us that's like, oh, shut that down. That is too awkward and uncomfortable. But most of the time, we endure it long enough for it to become more known, more comfortable. Because as the child practices, they get better and better at it. Till pretty soon, it's like, oh, play it again. That was beautiful what you played. But we have to embrace the awkward before we get the blessing of the new opportunity. We have to embrace that. So that's why I'm teaching you this before we delve into any more body language. You have to know, because I always have people say to me, well, the reason I hold my hands like that is because it's comfortable. I know. Now, do you want a new result? Oh, yes. Well, then do your hands this way. Oh, no. So that's why we're starting here, so that we can just circumvent that now. Is that cool? Okay, 2 of you. Is that good? All right. So that is the things I'm going to teach you today. We're going to talk about why these things are happening. Because every month we have a different focus at the Body Language Show here. And this month's focus is about relationships. It's about relationships, specifically the ones at home. Those relationships. So we're going to talk about that. Now, part 2 and part 3, I always cover these at every Body Language Show. They are fill in the blanks. I will give you all the answers. And if you miss one, you can cheat off your neighbor. Are we good? Yes. All right. And then this part right here, where the stick figure is here, this is where I'm going to show you what's going on in your brain. Now, please know I am a mentor. In fact, I teach group mentoring in this room twice a month. And so sometimes I'm going to step into mentor mode for a minute. All that means is I'm going to teach you about the programming in your brain. This is one of the reasons they asked me to do the TED Talk that I did, is because I am an expert in the connection between your body language and your subconscious programming. And that understanding is powerful. So I may step into mentor mode a few times and talk about things that are going on there. Just know, if I go on a tangent, it is bonus material. What is it? Bonus material. So those are the things that we're going to cover today. Then in this blank spots in the margins, that's where you take the notes about the bonus material. Cool? Okay, so those are what we're going to cover. Who's in? Yeah? All right, awesome. So let me tell you really quick how I became a body language expert. Anybody want to know? Oh, good, because it's a fun story. I have been working with 3 key elements. This is my 8th year. In November, I will have been here for 8 years. And in that 8 years, I've given over 4,128 presentations. So I've learned a little bit about body language along the way. And I love what I do. I love mentoring people. I love teaching people shortcuts to improve their relationships, to improve their results. I love what I do. So if you have a group... That just gave me this flashback to when I was a kid and the phones actually sounded like that. Do you guys remember that? So now, tangent, let's see, brain. No, it's just you got to remind me where I was talking about. Oh, yeah. So I've been doing this. So if you guys know a group of people who need body language training, I am your girl. You got to talk to me and let me come teach them, because body language benefits humans greatly. So if you know humans that need help with body language, I would love to help you out. So I love what I do. But the thing is I haven't always had this coolest job on the planet. I used to work in flight simulation. And my first job out of college, I worked in explosives. So doesn't that just line up? Explosives, flight simulation, body language expert. But the reason it worked that way is because I didn't like people very much. I didn't. I went to this place called high school. Anybody been there? Oh, in fact, my 4th child will go to high school next year. And what I found was, at high school, I didn't like the people very much. I tried really hard, and my results were really low. Isn't that kind of the definition of high school? Try really hard and get really low results, when it comes to the social at least. So I came up with a plan. And my plan was, leave the high school, go to the nearest college, see if they would take me instead. It was a great plan. And luckily for me, I was the oldest child in my family, and my parents were 2 youngest children. So I was the guinea pig. So they kind of let me go try things, and I was really blessed that way. So one day, 16 years old, I go to the college, and I said, hey, can I come to college instead? Turns out you can. Don't necessarily have to tell your kids that, but turns out you can. High school diploma is actually not a prerequisite for college. Who knew? Don't tell my kids. I don't want them to know that. So here I am at the college, and they said, sure, you can come to classes here. And I said, thank you. And they said, but you left a blank on your application. And I'm like, yeah, what is it? And it says major. And I'm like, major? What's that? So they explained major to me. And they said, what do you want your major to be? And I'm like, major? I didn't know I could come to college. Let me think about this. Why am I coming to college? To date the boys. That's why I'm coming to college. So I asked the guy, I said, what majors do you have with no girls in them? And he looks at me and he goes, no girls? And I said, yeah, I don't need the competition. And he goes, okay then. And he gets his book out, because I went to college back when they had these things called books. And he opens this book and he goes, well, how about you be an engineer? And I said, no, thank you. I do not want to drive trains. And he now looks at me and goes, Ann, closes his book. In our program, there are no trains, and there are very few girls. And I said, oh, sweet, sign me up. So he put me down for engineering on my major, which meant I got to go take engineering classes now. And it's true, there were not very many girls. I know, because they called me into the dean's office one day and they said, Ann, we have elected you Woman of the Year for the department. And I said, thank you. And I said, how hard was the competition? And they said, we haven't had a Woman of the Year for a while. And I said, okay, well, I'm so glad I could help you out with that. So I went through school in mechanical engineering, and when I graduated, I married an engineer. That was kind of part of the plan. And things were good. I could hide in my cubicle at work. I didn't have to talk to anybody. But then we had these kids. I have 4 boys and 1 girl. And I still didn't like communicating with people. So when those kids got old enough to go to school, I now find myself at the elementary school getting in arguments with other parents and with the teachers. And I'm like, why are all the people on this planet so mean? And when I asked my husband that question, he looks at me and he goes, Ann, I don't think you want the answer to that question. And I'm like, fine, you're mean too. And so this is how I was living my life. People were scary. People were to be avoided. And I was very well training my kids in this same way of thinking. Because no matter how hard I tried, my results with people were not good. And so it was not fun. Who wants to put lots and lots of effort for a very low result? Isn't that just what you hope you get to do every single day? Don't you wake up and go, man, I hope I get to put lots of effort out and nobody reciprocates? That's what we want, right? Well, that's what we often get. And that's what I was getting. And I was frustrated. I was really frustrated. I was tired. I was sick and tired of trying so hard. And so I got to where I would just send the kids to school. And I would hide in the house. Wouldn't answer the door, wouldn't answer the phone. It was safer that way. I would stay in my little comfort zone. And it was shrinking on a daily basis what felt comfortable. It was like getting smaller and smaller. Have you ever experienced that? It's like safety feels closer and closer to us. And it's like, I don't even want to have to talk to people. My relationship with my husband was not going very well. And my kids were like avoiding me. And I'm like, I don't like this. This is not fun. And so I remember one day I'm sitting home. Actually, I'm laying on the couch, hiding under a blanket, flipping through the 7 channels we had on our TV. Back, remember that when it was channels? Now it's like channels. But back then we had 7, and I'm flipping through them, and there's nothing on because I'm going past Barney and soap operas and infomercials, and I'm like, God, this is boring. So about the 75th time around the channels, I stopped for a minute on this entertainment channel, and they were interviewing these entertainers. And I remember watching them because the entertainers were standing for the interview. And I remember looking at them and going, why do they stand like that? And I got up in my living room and I tried on one of their poses. And I just was like, looked at their legs, and I'm like, they're kind of standing like this and like this and like this. And I'm like, oh, I hope nobody sees me stand like this, because it felt really awkward, different, weird. And so I'm like looking around, making sure all the blinds are closed. But it got my brain thinking. I was like, do they stand like that because they're successful? Or are they successful because they stand like that? And it sparked this interest in me in body language. And one day I heard about this class called the Body Language Show. Have you heard of it? You showed up at it. And I got online and I signed my husband up for it. Because I wasn't going to go. There would be people there. But I would send him, and I told him to bring back all the information for me. Well, he comes home from the class, and he goes, Ann, guess what? I signed you up for a class. And I'm like, I don't like you anymore. You were just supposed to bring me information, not sign me up for a class. But they called the class Master Your Influence. Who's been to it? So my husband signs me up for Master Your Influence. And I'm like, I don't want to go. You go. And he goes, I'm going too, but you got to come with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the class. And he goes, but you do want to learn about body language and communication, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I want you to tell me it after you go get the information. I don't want to be around people. And he's like, Ann, come to the class with me. Oh, I was not happy. And I'm like, so I walk into the class, and I'm like this. stupid people are here. And I sat in the very back of the class and I was like, go ahead, try and teach me something. Because I knew it wasn't me, you guys. I knew everybody else on the planet needed to change. Because I was trying really hard to be nice and it didn't make any difference. And so it wasn't me that needed to change. Isn't that right? Isn't that how it works? I don't have to change. I've tried hard. My husband and I were talking about this just the other day. He's like, isn't it interesting that people will say people need to be nice? They all consider themselves to be nice, but they think everybody else needs to change. Because our world, if you think about it, the world we live in right now is a very, what's the right adjective for it right now? It's a caustic world. People are they want to put people in their place, and they're very quick to do it. Because nowadays we have a lot of platform to put people in their place. If we don't like something, we get online and we say it. I don't like this person. Blah, 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 blah. And because my husband, he has his own business. And so it's interesting. If there's a customer, it's an online business, and he sells gold pans. You know, where you put the dirt in and you shake them and the gold stays in and the dirt goes out. He patented new technology for that. And so he sells these all over the world. I've kept track of, he has shipped gold pans to every state in the United States and 27 countries. And so, because he's only been doing this about a year and a half, so I was curious, and so I just kept track of everywhere they've shipped. Well, every once in a while, not very often, something will go wrong somewhere in the communication. And it's fascinating because sometimes, not very often, people will email or they'll call and they'll say, hey, I think something happened, and they're very nice about it. Like one time we had this guy send us a picture and the package had been completely squished flat when he got it. So something had happened in shipping. And it was just, I had never seen anything like it. It was like it had been run over by a steamroller. And he's like, hey, can you help me out here? This is what the package looked like when I got it. And my husband's like, sure, I can help you out. But then more often what happens is people, before they even talk to you, they say, I don't like what I got, blah, 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 blah. Bad word, bad word, bad word. And they try to attack you before you even have a chance to work with them. It's like the world is going to this place that they assume you're out to get them. They assume it. And you don't even, have you witnessed this, you guys? It's a fascinating thing. We had this one guy, because in all the hundreds of thousands of these pans that he shipped, there's only been a handful of people that have had any issue at all. Maybe 5. And out of those 5, 3 were really mean. And one of them said, you know, I'm in with the Hells Angels and I'm sending them to your house. And it's like, haven't even had a chance to respond. Can we take care of you? And all he was upset about is that his package hadn't arrived yet. It was an international package. And when he checked the tracking, it said, yep, it's still coming. But yet, he was going to send the Hells Angels after him. It's a fascinating world that we live in. But why are people so quick to anger? Why are they like that? And a big part of it is because they're doing the same thing. They're putting out lots of effort, or they perceive that they have, and they feel like the result doesn't match the effort that they've put out. And here's how I felt sitting in this class. I was sitting there going, man, I wish I knew the Hells Angels so I could send them out. No, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, man, I wish people would just be nice to me. So here I am sitting in the back of the room sending laser beam daggers out of my eyes and going, I wonder why nobody wants to sit by me. Isn't that weird? It's weird that I'm sitting back here. Nobody's going to be nice and sit by me. Not that I wanted them to, but my mind was like, people, here's evidence that people are mean. Here's evidence of it. Do you guys live on the same planet as me? Have you witnessed these kinds of things? And so here I was feeling like I had done everything I could. But yet as I sat in this class and learned that when you send a conflicting message When you send a conflicting message between your words and your body language, people will discount what you say to believe what they see. People want to believe what they see. We want to believe our eyes. And so if the words and the body language don't match, people want the body language to be the believable part. They want that. And so inside of our subconscious, we believe what we see. We believe it. And so when I heard this, I was like, wait a second. You're saying that I can adjust and people will get a different message? And I thought, okay, I'll try it. So I went home from this class and I adjusted my body language. And dang it, I immediately got a different result. And that made me mad because I'm like, no, this can't be true. Because if this is true, that means that I have been sending out messages all along and have caused my own results. And I did not want to be responsible for my own results. I didn't want that. But the truth is, if I am responsible, then it means I can improve them. If I'm responsible for my own results, I can improve my results. Anybody want to improve their results? Yes. Okay. So then I was like, no. Because the stubborn in me kicked in. Anybody here stubborn? Okay, that's what I thought, especially those ones who wouldn't raise their hand. So the stubborn in me kicked in and I was like, dang it. Why don't I get to learn about this anywhere? Why did nobody tell me about it? And that's when I chose to change my career. It was right there and then. You don't have to change your career to benefit from body language, but I knew right then I was going to do it. Because I wanted to help people not feel like I felt. I wanted to help people not have to be as stuck as I was stuck. You guys, it was such a hard place that I lived in. It wasn't that it was evil or bad. It was inside of me was so hard. I mean, the voices in my head, the loudest voice in my head was this one that said, hey, Ann, your kids would be better off with any mom than you. And I believed it. I believed that. And so I didn't want people to have to live that like I had lived it. And so I was like, I'm going to change. I'm going to teach people about body language. And I'm going to stand up, even when it's scary, to stand up in front of people. And I'm going to tell them about my stories because I want people to be able to move forward to their own amazingness faster. Because when I stepped into the world of body language, I realized really quick, you can see things in people. So I had to make a choice. How am I going to use that superpower? And I decided that my reason for using that power would be to help people access more of their amazingness. That was my mission, my purpose. So that's why I stand here teaching you about body language today, is because I believe in your amazingness. I see it in people, and I see them stop themselves. And how do they stop themselves? Here comes a good result that's coming towards them. Here it comes. And what do? Push it away. They push it away. Or they move away from it. Or they change it. They change its meaning as it comes. And you watch it in their body language. So I don't want that for you anymore. I want you to have access to your amazingness. And so by coming to the Master Your Influence class, by coming to this body language class, you've taken steps to do that. Those of you who've been to the Master Your Influence, you know we talk about how every single finger has a different message in it. So now I'm curious, how many of you have been to the Break Free Intensive? I thought I might have seen a couple of faces. Break Free Intensive, for 2 full days, we just have people come up on stage and I work with them on their body language and show them how to get to their results faster. Powerful, powerful class. That is so cool. So today, this is why I do what I do. And this is why we have crossed paths today. Because every choice you've made in your life up to this point, and every choice I've made in mine, intersected us on May 22nd, 2018. And so from this day forward, you have a choice to do something different because you can watch your own body language. Are you good with that? So while you're here, I'm going to ask 3 things of you because we have 3 rules at every 3 key elements class. Rule number 1 is a high level of respect. What's the word? Respect. So tell the people on both sides of you, I will respect you till lunchtime. Okay. Because after that, you are out of my jurisdiction. But till lunchtime, high level of Rule number 2, be present. It means be willing to ask questions. It means be willing to guess when you don't know the answer. Because a lot of us have been to a place called elementary school where somebody raised their hand and they got an answer wrong, or they asked a question and people laughed. And so we all got this program that said, ooh, don't do that. Stay in your comfort zone. But being present means be willing to do something different today than you've always done it. Because if you'll do something different, now you have access to a new result. So it is called to be present. What's the word? Present. And rule number 3 is manage your communication device. Make sure you manage your cell phone, manage this communication device in case you came with somebody. Going like this, okay? So you manage your communication devices. 3 rules. Number 1 is high level of. Respect. Rule number 2 is to be. Present. And rule number 3 is? Okay, if you'll follow those 3 rules, raise your hand for me. Okay, even you guys online, because I'm watching you, okay? Raise your hand. Awesome. All right, so now let's delve deeper into body language. Because I've been teaching you all along the way this morning why you care. Because unless you know why you care, you will not retain what I teach you today. So that's why I show you why you need to care. You need to care. Because are any of you teachers? Do any of you teach in any form or mentor or anything? Then that's important for the person in front of you to know why they care. Because if they don't know why to care, their brain is not going to go through the effort of pushing past the comfort zone. Learning is getting out of comfort zone. It is. But yet we try to stay in here and just regurgitate. Oh, now I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a second. Regurgitation of information is a way to stay in your comfort zone. Application of information is a way to get out of your comfort zone. It's a way to grow. So I'm teaching you, but also with opportunity for application. Are you good with that? Yes. 2 of you. Are you good with that? Yes. All right. So let me give you the answers to part number 2. And let's just really, if you guys have been to a body language show before, you already know that I've already gone deeper than I normally do. I do that all the time. It's just like, let's just go deeper and deeper and deeper. And are you the right group for that? Yes. All right. So I'm going to give you the answers to part number 2. Does anybody need a pen? Does anybody need a pen? Are you good? All right. You are prepared. I'm going to give you 2 of the blanks at a time. And when you have them filled in, say, got it, and I'll know it's time to go on. Got it? Reading body language is a skill to find answers and solutions. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. When I see movement, the next step is to ask good questions. Only 3 of you got it at the end there. It's like, she's not really listening to see if I got it. Yes, I am. Because here, everybody has one of these. Do you all have one of these? Yeah, did you bring it with you? That was really smart. Because our brain is an important part of who we are. But our brain has some specific wiring in it. And one of those wirings is it wants to make judgments, because judgments is something that helps us to be safe. Now, the problem with that is we have to, the judgments are to keep us safe. So to push into our growth zone, we have to suspend judgment at first. Let me explain. If you see somebody standing like this, what could it mean? They're cold. What else could it mean? They're closed off. What? Did I hear angry? I thought I heard somebody say that one. What else could it mean? They're judging. So they're thinking. It can be any of those. So how are you going to know which one it is? Ask what kind of questions? Good ones. So, for example, I'm going to say, hey, why are you so closed off? Is that a good one? Okay, so why isn't it a good one? Because it's a judgment. It's a judgment. And if I don't suspend judgment for a little bit, not forever, but if I don't suspend it momentarily, I will be caught in my own comfort zone. Judgment is based on our past experiences. We make judgments based on our past experiences and emotions and things that we've gone through. And we are looking for evidence that our past is true. Okay, so I'm just testing the group here to see how deep we do want to go today. So do you hear what I'm saying? We actually are testing. I'm testing. We are making judgments, trying to find evidence that what I have experienced in my past is true and valid. That's what I'm testing for. And so I make those judgments, and if I find evidence of my past, I now have permission to stay in my comfort zone. And that's all we want. We just want permission to stay safe. We want to stay comfortable. But yet, what we need is to get out of that comfort zone into our growth zone long enough to have, I'm going to say it this way, long enough to grow a new comfort zone. Because once you've been out of this comfort zone into this growth zone long enough, this now becomes your new comfort zone. And you have expanded your understanding, your influence, your comfort zone. So now I get to push out of that into my new growth zone. We as humans are constantly looking for an opportunity to grow. We actually feel happiest when we are growing. When our comfort zone is shrinking, we actually do not feel happy. We feel scared, we feel sad, we feel frustrated, we feel resentful and regretful. Lots of emotions. But people are happiest when they are growing. This expansion process right here is your happiness zone. That's where we feel happy. But yet your brain is working to try to keep you where you were. So we have to be willing to push out of that. Okay, did I just lose everybody? Half of you? Okay. No, it's okay. We can totally admit it, because then I can re-explain it. So this is when I have a chance to get better at something. When I have a chance to get better at something, I feel accomplished. I feel successful. I feel happy because I have had a chance to gain a new skill. It's actually what we crave, but our brain is actually pushing against us. Because in our world, there's opposition in everything. There's light and dark, there's hot and cold, there's fast and slow. In order to grow, we have to have something to push against. So we don't have to resent the opposition. We have to learn how it works together to help us feel happy. Because I got to push against that, I feel happy out here in my growth zone. Does that make more sense now? Okay, so this is why we have to suspend. Where's my brain? We have to suspend judgment. I found my brain. Nice brain. We have to suspend judgment and calm our brain down sometimes. Because and I'm generalizing it, there's a specific spot in your brain that does this, but we have to calm the brain down long enough to get to experience the growth so that we can feel the happy. So we have to calm it down. But the problem is, remember from folding your arms the other way, at first growth feels awkward, different, weird, uncomfortable, and we avoid it. But yet that is what makes us happy. So if I embrace the awkward, strange, different, uncomfortable long enough, I will actually feel the happy that goes with it. It's an interesting dichotomy where we work against ourselves. But if you understand it, conscious understanding is always the first step to a new behavior. And so if I can understand that about me, calm that part of my brain down, suspend judgment, I know that I am on my way to feel more joy. I'm on my way to feel more happiness because I suspended the judgment long enough. Okay, that is the deepest I've ever explained it in a body language show. But I watched, and like 3/4 of you have been to classes here before. So I'm explaining it a different way. Are we good? Okay. So that's why it says, the first step is to begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see the movements as indicators. They indicate things. So yeah, this could be thinking, it could be closed, it could be uncomfortable, it could be cold, it could be any of those. And so first, don't just judge people, just know, yeah, it could be one of those. Am I going to assume the worst, or am I going to ask questions? So I ask a good question. I could ask this question, is it cold in here to you? And they're like, oh, yes, it's freezing. Well, then you know what the answer was. So the difference between a good question and an ungood question is good questions increase rapport and connection. Ungood questions break rapport and push people away. And the difference is judgment. Do I judge first and look second, or do I look first and judge second? If I can delay the judgment, if I can calm my brain down and delay the judgment, I will increase my connection. I will increase my connection with people. So let's look at what's going on inside your brain for a minute. Because here's your stick figure that's on your last page. And inside your brain, you have a conscious and a subconscious. And you brought both of them with you, yes? So your conscious mind, how much can your conscious mind do? How many things can you do at a time? Yeah, well, can I do them well or just do them? Okay, usually 1 to 2 is all I can focus on. And actually, your brain is working like a computer. It actually, and I don't know if you know this about your computer, but your computer actually can only focus on one thing at a time. The reason it seems like it's doing more is it cycles through them. So it does one thing in this program, then this one, then this one, then this one, and then it cycles through them. Same with you. You can do 1 to 2 things, but you're really only doing one at a time, and you're jumping back and forth between them. So like I could have you rub your tummy and pat your head. Don't do it the other way or you get knots in your hair, okay? So you can rub your tummy and pat your head. You can do 2 different things, and maybe you could march in place while you do it. So there's 3 things. But the thing is the more you add, the less good we get at each of the things that we're doing. Well, in order to do those things, your conscious mind is processing information. It's processing pieces of information. So that as it processes the information, it can actually run through 40 pieces of information in a second. 40 pieces in a second, because it's really fast. Just like your computer is really fast, your conscious mind, it's really fast as well. But man, Your subconscious blows your conscious away when it comes to how much it can process. So in that same amount of time that your conscious mind processes 40 pieces of information, how many do you think your subconscious processes? Good guess. She guessed. 650. How many? Okay, come on, guess. Millions. What was yours? 1,000. Come on, you guys, push past your program that makes you scared to answer. Just guess. It's just fun. 100 times. Because here's the thing. If you guess, your brain now is open, waiting for the answer. Because you guessed, your brain is like now thirsty, going, oh, come on, give me the answer. I want to know. But if you don't guess, your brain is like still closed and it can just run off like water on a duck. And so your guessing actually opens you to the answer. Your subconscious, in that same amount of time, on average, will process 40 million pieces of information. Good job. 40 million. That is a lot. I can't even count to 40 million. Well, maybe I can by millions, 1 million, 2 million. But by ones, no. I remember in 5th grade, they said, get out your notebook and you have to write all the numbers to 1,000. And I thought that took forever. And 40 million in a second? Because your subconscious, that includes your unconscious that runs everything in your body. You have, I forgot the number of trillion. I think it's 6 trillion cells in your body. There's a lot of cells. And they have to divide and go where they're supposed to go, and your blood has to flow. There's a lot going on. But there's 40 million pieces of information. Now, do you need consciously all 40 million pieces? No, obviously not. If you did, your conscious would process 40 million pieces of information. I don't need all of these in my conscious mind. Thank heavens. Man, that would be like overload to have that many things go through my mind in 1 second. Oh, that would be a lot. I only need 40. So how does my brain decide which of the 40 million will be passed to the conscious mind? How do I decide what I'm going to pay attention to? So this is the really cool part. Your computer has the same problem. It has so much information coming into it. Because nowadays we can connect it to the World Wide Web. It has the whole world coming into your computer or your phone. The whole world is coming in there. How do you decide what you're going to see? Because we can't process a whole world's worth of information every second. So in order to do that, your computer or your phone has programming. Or nowadays we call it apps. There's apps on our phone or our computer. And those apps are just programs. And all they do is they say, of all this information coming in, this is what I want to see. And the program says, when you see this information, show it to me. You following me? So now, because I put an app on my phone, I have an app on my phone for my bank, and I have an app on my phone for group messaging. I have apps on my phones for pictures. We have apps that do different things. And they take the information that comes in, and when they see the information that the program says, Anne wants to see this, it shows it to me, and I see it. Well, your brain is doing the same thing. Your brain says, that's a lot of information. What does Anne really want to see? So let's look through our programming. Let's see what the apps are in the subconscious. And whatever those apps say are important, that is what I will show to Anne. Now, could I be shown something different than what is in my programming? Could I? What will your brain do if it sees something that's different than the programming? Try to reject it. Try to push it out. Try to get rid of it. So it can be very valuable to understand where the apps came from. Because did you go to your app store and choose all the apps that are in your subconscious? That's a good question, right? Some of you are like, I don't know, did I? Well, let me tell you where they came from. The majority of the programs or the apps in your subconscious came between the ages of 0 and 11 years old. Between 0 and 11 years old, we took on the programs that run our adult life. Isn't that good news? I am so glad this program from when I was 6 is making decisions in my marriage as an adult. Yay! Isn't that awesome? Oh, and that one from when I was 8 years old, thank heavens for that one. It decides how I spend my money as an adult. Yes! No! How often do we update the programs on our computer or our phone? How often do we update our apps? All the time, because programmers, the ones that wrote the programs for the apps, they know that if you're running a faulty program, you will get a faulty result. If you run a faulty program, you get a faulty result. And so all the time, just like 2 days ago, I opened my laptop and it says these updates are available. And next to the updates, it says how important is the update. And some of them will say critical update. And some of them will say suggested update. They aren't all the same priority of an update. See, we have the same thing go on us. Remember when I was 3 years old and I ran out in the street and my dad ran out in the street and grabbed me and goes, "No, don't go out in the street." That was a critical update in that moment because he grabs me and goes, "Don't ever run out in the street." And I'm like, "Okay, update now. Got it." So I now have a new program. But some programs are just suggested updates and we don't update them. And now we go all the way into adulthood, and I'm still using the same program. It hasn't been updated in 30 years, and I'm still using it. Could this be a problem? Anybody want an update to their programming? Okay, so that's the cool thing about body language is it is the connection between our programming and our results. It's the middle part between them. So let me explain. Let me explain your subconscious to you for just a second. Remember, your subconscious wants to keep you safe and comfortable. See? Subconscious wants you in your comfort zone. Why? Because it's easier. It's easier to keep you alive if you're in your comfort zone because your subconscious knows what to expect. It doesn't know what to expect out there, outside the comfort zone, but in here, it knows what to expect. So your subconscious wants to keep you alive and comfortable, which means as long as the program from when you were 5 years old doesn't kill you and it's familiar, your subconscious will run it. Yes! As long as that program from when you were 8 years old won't kill you and it's familiar, your subconscious will run it. Dang it! Have you ever felt like you keep getting the same results over and over and over and over and over and over, and it's like, really, can I have a new result yet? Not until you change the program. And when you're updating the programs, on your computer, when you're updating the programs, do you notice that your computer won't let you do anything else? And it has to restart. And so there's some uncomfortable of having to wait. Well, there's some uncomfortable when we upgrade our programming because we push against the old program. We push against it. And while I'm pushing against it, it feels uncomfortable, weird, different, awkward. And we avoid that. And just like on your computer, if you interrupt the download or you interrupt the upgrade, it will go back to its default, which was the old program. Okay? So here we have the subconscious trying to defend those programs. So let's run through a scenario of what that looks like. Your subconscious, here it is again. Your subconscious looks at the programs and it says, all right. And I had to be careful here because I'm like in mentor mode the whole time today. This is what it's like to be in my group mentoring, just so you know. Is that true, you guys that have been in it? This is like what group mentoring feels like. And so I apologize, those of you that were coming for a very superficial class. I apologize now that we're going so deep today. But I don't know, it's just in me today, I guess because it's kind of springish outside. And so you're going to get Anne poured on you today. The front row's like, oh, okay, that's a lot of Anne poured on me. But, so let me think, how should we do this right here? Let me finish explaining this, and then we'll do something else. So the subconscious says this. It says, I want to find evidence that those programs from my past are valid. I want to find evidence that those programs are valid. So let me see, how can I find that evidence? I know I will take the programs in my head and I will show them to everyone around me. And if they treat me according to those programs, I will have evidence that my programming is valid. Okay? I know, good news, right? So here's what happens. My subconscious says, all right, I need these people to see my program. And my program is, people don't like me very much. So how can I send that program out? And my subconscious says, oh, I know. Here are 650 different words that you could say that would help people know that they shouldn't like you. And so now I go, okay, I need to speak to people. But our words, even though our words are the smallest piece of our communication, it is the thing we spend the most time on. Anybody here ever have an English class in high school? Notice that was required every year. But how many years were you required to take body language? 0. But man, you learned how to diagram sentences. Aren't you glad? Because that makes a difference every day of our life. I got to be careful. My dad is an English professor at college. So he'll be like, Anne, it matters. In fact, in my house, for breakfast, he would bring the dictionary, and he would teach us new words out of the dictionary. And the word that he taught us, he would take a razor blade and he would cut it out of the dictionary and he would put it on a 3x5 card and he would test us on it all day long. So I had to learn new words all the time. We spend a lot of time on our words. But here I am, and my subconscious says, here are 650 words based on the programs that you grew up with. Why don't you say these to people? Luckily, for the people sitting around you, we have a filter. And that filter gives us a chance to filter those words, because we can't speak 650 words a minute. Some of us try, but we can't speak that many. And so these 650 words get filtered down to 150 words. On average, people speak 150 words a minute. And so we filter them, thank heavens, whether based on if they're politically correct, based on whether they're nice, based on whether we'll get the result we think we want. And so we filter them down. So how many words got held back? 500 words got held back. But your subconscious was trying to send a message. And you chose only the nice words. Well, some people don't choose only the nice words. Do you wish more people would choose the nice words? That would be nice. But your subconscious said, well, wait a minute. You only picked and chosen. Chose. Okay, we can conjugate. I already told you my dad's an English professor. Doesn't mean I know how to talk. But 500 words got held back, and your subconscious was trying to send a message. So what's it going to do with the 500 words? Yay! Boo! Wow! Is that good news or bad news? It's news. Because what was that? It's 500 words of message. And your subconscious says, Anne, I see that you filtered out the words. I still need the message to go out to everybody. So let me help you out. And I'll send the rest of the message out in your body language. Yay! No! Wait, what? Those weren't nice words. They weren't what I wanted people to know. And you're saying I sent the message out anyway? Yeah, you did. I did. I had the program, people don't like me. So I would carefully choose the words that I spoke. And then my body language would be very defensive. Very defensive. And the problem with defensive body language is people's aggressive nature is triggered by defensiveness. Did you know that? If I behave defensively, the idea that goes through people's heads is, why is she acting defensive? She thinks I'm attacking her? Well, fine, then I'm gonna rise to that because they're now feeling defensive. How dare they judge me like that? It goes back to the judgment. The judgment wasn't delayed, and so now we go through this, I'm defensive. Well, how dare she be defensive? How dare she judge me as being aggressive? Well, now I'm defensive. Well, how dare she be defensive? I was the one that was being picked on. Oh, so now the defensive goes poor, 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 and now we have this convoluted mixture of everybody feels hurt. Everybody feels hurt, and hurt people hurt people. Hurt people will hurt people. And so if somebody is hurting you, it's very likely they have also felt hurt somewhere. It is very common for that to be true. So now, this is the good news, because you have the ability to override your body language. We luckily have things that we can take conscious control over away from our subconscious. And body language is one of those. Heartbeat is not. Heartbeat will stay in the control of your subconscious, but body language I can override. And if I override the body language, it now sends a new message back to my subconscious. And my subconscious now feels cognitive dissonance. And when it feels the cognitive dissonance, it says, which program do you want? So my brain says to me, Anne, you've got 2 programs going on here. Which one do you want? And I'm like, the new one. But Anne, it's uncomfortable. I know, so you better work on it and make it comfortable. And the little workers in my head go, oh, okay, yes, ma'am, we will do that. And they push out the old program and make the new program the default. They make the new program the default. So for me, it looked like this. Program says people don't like me. So when I would get out of my car to go into my kids' school, program said, people don't like me, people don't like me, people don't like me. So I would walk in the school like this. People don't like me. And then I would try to talk to people. Hi, how are you? People don't like me. People don't like me. And so the message is coming out, people don't like me. But I'm smiling and I'm talking nice. But the message is coming out differently. People don't like me. People don't like me. And so now they start treating me like they don't like me. And my brain goes, oh, phew. Oh, phew. That matches. It's true. People don't like me. But is it true people don't like me? Or do I just have a validated program that people don't like me? And when the program is validated, my subconscious will repeat the program. My subconscious will repeat it. So now, here's the brain saying, people don't like me, and people treat me like they don't like me. And I go home and go, see, people don't like me. And I'm like, all right, where's the interrupt in that? I'm sending a message. What can I change? Can I change the program? I can try, but let me try. People don't like me. All right, let me try it. People like me. No, they don't. Look at all this evidence. Here's this tons of evidence. People don't like me, but I want them to like me. People don't like you. Oh. So the program is biased by evidence. The program is biased by evidence. So in order to change the program, I've got to change the balance of the evidence. So to change the balance of the evidence requires that I start getting new evidence. Okay, how do I start to get new evidence? Well, I'm going to try changing my body language. All right, well, if this sends a message of defensiveness, then what would send a message of openness? What would be open? Opening your arms. Now, when you're talking to somebody, they can fold their arms, and it often means they're thinking. But when somebody like me gets out of their car and immediately is protecting themselves, it's a different message. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to unfold my arms. And my subconscious is going to say, Anne, we don't send that message. It would be so much more comfortable to fold your arms. And I have to say, no, I don't want comfortable. I want new message. And subconscious says comfortable. And I say, no new message. And subconscious says comfortable. And I'm like, no, I want a new message. And so now I'm walking through the halls at the school like this. And people are like, you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm upgrading. And it was really awkward at first. Because as hard as I tried to keep my hands down, I kept looking back, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Unfold the arms. And it was so bad, my fingers swole up because my arms had never hung down to my sides. I didn't have blood vessels to pull the fluid out. So I had to wait for the blood vessels to be grown into my fingers so it could pull the fluid out of my hands. But was it worth the upgrade? Absolutely. Because now I sent a new message. And it was fascinating because I saw people at school or at church and they would say, Anne, you seem different. What are you doing? Have you lost weight? And I'm like, nope, just upgrading the messages. And people started to notice. So now the big weight of evidence that people don't like me started to get offset by new evidence. And as the new evidence got more traction, I could now throw out some of the old evidence. Because here's one more thing to know. New evidence weighs more than old evidence. Fresh evidence weighs more. And so if you put fresh evidence in, it offsets the balance very quickly. It's powerful, you guys. So now I'd learned to put my hands down to my side, and I'm like, okay, I want something else. I want to improve the relationship with my kids. Let me watch my body language and see what's going on with my kids. So I noticed my kids would come home from school, and they would come in the house, and I would say, kids, tell me about your day. Does that make sense? So now my mouth is saying, tell me about your day, and my hand is saying, go away. Which one do you think they listen to? The second one, the louder one. The louder one. The one with the bigger percentage. So they'd come home, tell me about your day. And then they wouldn't want to talk to me. And so now the evidence in my head said, your kids don't like you. Your kids would be better off with any mom than you. You're a terrible mom. And now I'm believing these comments based on the basket of information or the basket of evidence. So I'm like, all right, what do I have power over? Oh, I have power over the body language. I'm going to choose new body language. Let's see. When I look at part number 1 in the lower left-hand corner, it says, what you push goes away. Oh, my kids are going away. What do I want? I want them to come towards me. Pull, pull, pull. Okay. When the kids come home tomorrow, I'm going to pull them. All right, I'm ready. Come to the door. Kids, tell me about, are you kidding me, Han? Do you remember we talked about this? This is pushing. Pull, pull, pull. Kids, tell me about your day now. Kids are like, Mom is creepy, go the other way. But it was awkward. And I'm like, okay, of course it's awkward because I have years of pushing them away. I will try this again tomorrow. Pull. Kids come in the house. Kids, tell me about your day while I cook dinner over here. And kids are like, okay, Mom's weird 2 days in a row, run away. And I'm like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Next day, 4th day, they come in the house and I'm like, before they get here, okay, pull. They come in the house. Kids, tell me about your day while I cook dinner over here. And they go away. And I'm like, oh. And I'm over here cooking dinner and I'm like, no. My kids, because I'm now fielding the voices. Your kids don't want to be around you. They'd be better off with any mom than you. They don't like you. You're a bad mom, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's not true. I want them around me. And I start cooking dinner and I turn around. And 2 of my kids are sitting at the counter and they're like, Mom, guess what happened at school today? And inside I'm like, yes! And I changed the program. I changed the program. And it felt awkward and stupid and weird. And I did it. Because I told my subconscious, I don't want you to defend the old program. I want you to defend the new one. The new program is what I want you to defend. And so now, my kids, I don't have to fight with myself because I have a new program and the default is, talk to me. I have room for you. Instead of, go away, I have so much on my plate, I'm going to push you away. So we upgrade the program. We install a new default. And now, we change our body language. We change it. Isn't that cool how that works, you guys? So this is the good news. If I want a new result, I change the body language. I watch for the messages I'm sending. And so then my son comes home from school, went to 5 different junior highs in one school year. 5 junior high. Anybody been to junior high? You want to go to 5 of them? 5 junior highs. His first day on the 5th junior high, he comes home from school and he goes, Mom, why do the kids keep picking on me? And I'm like, I can tell you. And he goes, oh, is it body language? And I'm like, yes, dear, that's what I do. And he leaves the room. And I'm like, okay, he's not ready. He comes back the next day and he goes, all right, fine, Mom, tell me, why do the kids keep picking on me? And he's standing there like this. You know, you've seen teenage boys, right? And they're all real confident. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. And he's like this, and he's like, fine, Mom, tell me. And I have like 1 minute to talk to him is all he's going to listen. And so if he's standing like this, what piece of body language could I tell him about? His legs, what else could I tell him about? His arms, what else? His head, his eye contact. You said feet. All of those, any one of those would make a difference. So I had to pick one. So look at your handout here. I picked legs. Because remember, I'm teaching him to change. If I change his body language, it's going to send a new message to his subconscious. Do I stop him and say, hey, you know what? I want to change the message in your subconscious. No, because he's already only going to listen to me for 48 seconds. So I got to pick just the body language that will send the message. So what message does legs send? Balance, support, strength. Your legs send a message about foundation. What does a junior high boy need? Some foundation. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to him about legs. And so he's standing there like this, and I said, do you stand with your weight on one leg like that at school? And he goes, yeah, Mom, we all do, duh. And I'm like, well, Mr. Attitude, did you know when you stand with your weight on one leg at your locker or up in front of class, it sends the message that you're easily knocked off your balance, that you're easily pushed over, that you're a pushover? And I said, if you'll stand with your weight on both legs, this sends a message of strength, support, balance, foundation. You're hard to push over. And if people see this, they're looking for an easy target. If you'll stand with your weight on both legs, now the kids at school will look for an easier target and leave you alone. And his response was, ugh, and he left the room. Because he was a teenager. He's in junior high. But now he comes home a few days later, and he's like, Mom, I have something to tell you. And I'm like, yeah, what was that? And he goes, Mom, it works. It worked. And I said, yeah? Well, next year we were going to go to a different junior high. And he goes, no, Mom. I now have more friends here and better results than any junior high I've been to. I want to stay. And I'm like, okay. Because I taught him about body language, but it upgraded his programming. So if you want to go see that whole story, I tell it in my TED Talk on YouTube. So you can go watch that. It's like at the very end of the TED Talk. But you guys, changing your body language changes your result. And yet what do? We whine about our results and don't pay any attention to our body language. Why do we do that? Because it's familiar. Because nobody taught it to us, and it's awkward to step out of here. Because I have too many people that say, well, it looks dumb if you put your hands down to your side. No, it doesn't look dumb. It feels dumb. There is a big difference between looks dumb and feels dumb. They are not the same. They're not the same. And so when somebody says that to me, well, it looks dumb, I'm like, no, go look at a movie. Go watch a movie. The main characters in the movie, if they're not doing something in the scene or holding something, their hands are down to their sides. And it doesn't look dumb. It's just your subconscious trying to protect you by telling you something that will keep you in your comfort zone. It will keep you there. And so, yeah, do I get on my soapbox about body language? Absolutely, because people don't know that actually your body language can help you feel better. Your body language can be an indicator to show you what's stopping you. It can show you what's stuck. Your entire body is a recording device. And what's it recording? Your body will, because you have memory here, you have cellular memory, you have muscle memory. We have muscle throughout our whole body. We also have memories throughout our whole body. And most of the time, the memories that are stored in our body are unresolved emotions or unresolved experiences. Things that we experienced that we didn't know what to say. We didn't know how to say it. We weren't allowed to say it. Or emotions, because we were good, nice people. We didn't want to smear that emotion on someone else. So what we do, we took the emotion, we stuffed it into our elbow. Stay there, emotion. And then over time, what happens? It hurts. It hurts. And it's trying to say, hey, guess what? I need you to resolve this emotion. Okay, now we went way too deep. You should just now be part of group mentoring, which starts on June 11th. And because you now already know more than they do, because they haven't come to their first appointment yet. But you guys, this happened to me just recently. My knee was hurting a lot. And knees have to do with authority. Knees have to do with authority. And our right side has to do with our future. Our left side has to do with our past. And so I started looking and talking to my knee. Okay, knee, what's going on? What's in there? What's stored in there? What do I need to resolve so that my knee doesn't have to hurt anymore? And my knee said, Ann, it's because of the hip. Go talk to your hip. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All right. Did you know your knee will talk to you? It will so talk to you. So I talked to my hip. Well, hips have to do with forward movement. Forward movement. And so it was like, oh, I need to be taking steps forward. And I got some specific messages of things I needed to resolve about forward movement and authority. And guess what? Then they quit hurting. It's so weird. It doesn't mean that it's going to change damage if you've damaged it, but could the damage happen because of what's going on? Sure, it can. Body language is a really good communication device with your own self. Because too often I hear people say, if someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. Have you ever heard anybody say something like that? If someone would just tell me, I would do it. All right, well, I'm telling you. Now we'll see if you'll do it. Because to move forward towards our goals, your body language will tell you a lot about what's stopping you. This is why we do the Break Free Intensive class. When people come up to the front, I ask them questions. If the words don't match the body language, guess which one I pay attention to? The body language. So you watch this in you. When you're given a compliment, watch, do you push it away? And if you push it away, try pulling it to you and see what feels weird. See where the awkward comes in. Oh, thank you. And then you'll feel it somewhere. You'll feel it. You might feel your shoulder hurt, twinge for a second. You might feel your knee twinge. See where your program is stored about why you have to push away compliments. And when you find the place that it's stored, have a talk with it. Say, hey, you know what, knee? It's okay. We will move forward. We can totally move forward. And so, that was so too deep. Okay. All right, so let's open it up for questions here for a minute. I want to hear what you guys are learning out of this and make sure we're still going the direction that you guys want to go. Is that cool? All right, so if you have a question, raise your hand. So we'll start right here. And can you they can't hear you online unless you use the microphone. So just say your first name for us and then ask your question.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
What do your shoulders represent?
So look at part 1. What does shoulders say?
Oh, it's on here. Man, I should have read that through.
Okay, so what does it say?
Not taking on responsibility, repeat, resolve concerns.
Okay, so what that means right there is talking about if you are, for example, you tell a kid, I need you to do these chores, and they go, okay, and they brush on their shoulder. It's like they're brushing the responsibility off. They might not feel like they can take that responsibility on. So that's what it's talking about there. Shoulders also, I'm going to give you 3 answers. Is that okay?
Yes.
So one of the places that I've been asked to speak several times is a consulting company in the Valley who what they do is when a large company does a layoff, they hire this consulting company to come in and take all the people who were laid off and remarket them and help them get another job. which is pretty cool. So they often ask me to come in when they have this fresh group of people who were just laid off. And it's fascinating because I walk in and start talking to them, and it often shows up in their shoulders because they're like hunched over, and their shoulders will be heavy. And they're taking this as a big responsibility and laying it on their shoulders. And then I'll start to talk to them. And it's interesting because they'll say, I was next in line for a promotion, and instead of promoting me, they laid me off. Now, should we just stick with the theme of going deep in the answers? Or are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem with that is we don't want to burden other people. And so when a manager is looking for somebody to promote, if it's somebody who walks around with heavy shoulders a lot, it sends the message, I have too much responsibility. So the manager now looks at that and goes, oh, I don't want to add to their responsibility. They have too much. Whereas if they rolled those shoulders up, it now looks like I am good with my responsibility. I'm good with this. And so that is the person they want to promote, is the one that looks like they can handle the responsibility, not the one who's buried by it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so shoulders also send that kind of message. You can feel that one in the afternoon. We call it the afternoon slump. And by the afternoon, our shoulders are down and our chin is down. Yeah. So do that for a second. Let your shoulders slump and your chin slump. How does that feel? Yeah, it feels tired, weighed down. I can't do it. Now lift your shoulders up and your chin just above level. How does that feel? It feels empowered. It feels like I can do it. I can move forward. Well, this is what people are seeing in you. So if you reinforce the inside of you instead of the that's real technical terms there, it shows up to people around you. And so I find it fascinating that that's a recurring story that I hear from the people with the most weighed down shoulders is I was next in line for a promotion, and instead they laid me off. And I'm like, they didn't want to overburden you. We have to send the message, we can handle it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then the third part is this. Sometimes people will shoulder too much responsibility. And when they do that, then what you'll see is this kind of thing. It's like they've got too much, and they're trying to hold it all up, but it's pushing down on them. So they're doing this. And yet they're the ones that when you ask them to do something, it's always yes. They won't ever say no. It's like, yes. They're trying to get more on their shoulders and carry more. So there's a lot of messages in shoulders. And so if shoulders start hurting, remember, left is the past, right is the future. Check in. What kinds of responsibility are you giving yourself? And teach yourself that you don't have to carry the responsibilities. You can manage the responsibilities. So do this with me. Reach up and take your fingers just at the base of your neck and run them down your shoulders. Run it down your neck and off your shoulders. Do you feel it start to get tingly? That is helping to tell your brain, I don't have to carry the responsibility. Now, you can choose how you come off. You can go, get rid of it, or you can put it in front of you if you're worried about your responsibilities. And I like to imagine putting them on a cart with wheels, and I can pull them with me. I don't have to reject the responsibility, but who said I had to carry it? So we got to teach our brain it's okay to put it here. So notice how it will feel lighter after you do that, because you've taught yourself, remember, we can manage this responsibility instead of carrying the responsibility. So that was a lot of answer. Was that good, Jordan?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Okay, round of applause for his question. Okay, who else has a question? Okay, right here.
Oh, it's okay. Thanks. I
tell us
actually
your
wrote
first name.
mine down. Andrea Nelson.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi. In order to get rid of, the old programming, do you have to identify it? I mean, do you have to know where it comes from? You're talking between the ages of 0 and 11. I'm just wondering if you have to,
Nope, you
if
don't
that's a
have to.
piece of that.
You can, because like I personally mentor people, and sometimes we'll go look for what it is a little bit, just like, oh, what, we not necessarily deep. I'm not a counselor. I am a mentor, and I'm a body language expert. But the reason I teach you that is so that you realize that not all programs that we view as valid. Now, I use the word valid instead of truth, because the program, like the program I had that people didn't like me, I would have told you it's true. But it's not that it's true, it's that it feels valid because of the evidence. So I teach you that so that you can understand, because we know that kids don't necessarily see the world the same way that adults do. And we need to upgrade our vision of what we're seeing in our lives. And so if I tell you, well, a lot of them came between 0 and 11 years old, we can go, oh, that makes sense. I can see how I would have gotten that and see how I wouldn't have chosen something else. Do I have to know exactly? No. If I know it's in my past, like talking about the shoulders, like Jordan did, if I know it's in my past, then I can just say, oh, what do I choose for the future? And I can just say, all right, I choose to let this one go, and here is my new way of viewing responsibilities in my future. And then just like I had to choose 4 days in a row, I have to choose however many times in a row is necessary to make the new program the default program. And some of them can take more times of choosing than others. Some it's like, oh yeah. Others it's like repetition. Because repetition and intensity are what help us upgrade our programming. So if it's a real intense experience, like running out in traffic and somebody grabs you when you're little, that's intense. For me, it was repetition with my kids. It's like, oh, I got to repeat this until my new chosen program is my default. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Round of applause for Andrea. Okay, anybody else have a question?
Hi, my name is Dixie.
Hi, Dixie.
Hi. My question is in reference to when you were discussing how you were having a conversation with your knee and your knee then referred you to your hip. What do those answers sound like? Like, how do you recognize what's being said so that you can then move forward dealing with it?
So if you haven't talked to your knee before and listened to it, one of the fastest ways to learn to do that is to actually write it down. Dear knee, I see that you're hurting a lot right now, and I care about you, and I realize I might not have been listening to you a lot. Is there anything you want to tell me? Love, Ann. And then I get a new page. Dear Ann, and whatever pops into my head, I just write it down without filtering it. And at the end of everything, I write, love, knee. And then I go back and read it. And that teaches me to listen to my knee. Because our body is a bunch of parts all put together that want to communicate with each other. But we kind of need to learn that communication. Just like you have to learn to communicate with your kids or your spouse or your parents. We have to learn to communicate with our body. And so that is what I did to start learning how to hear what my knee sounded like. And now it's kind of funny because it's almost like each piece of my body has its own different voice. And so when, like the other day, my kidneys were hurting. And so it's like, hey, kidneys. And when they talk to me, it's like these two voices together at the same time because I got two kidneys. So it's always funny to me. And it's really a cool time to live in because 100 years ago, if I would have stood on a stage and talked about my knee talking to me, they would have tied me up in a white jacket and put me in a white room and said, oh, you're crazy. But nowadays, we recognize that there is communication going on. There's communication. And so even, how deep of the answer did we want here, Dixie? So when somebody covers their mouth, what do you think that body language is? It's like, okay, I'm saying too much. I'm holding something back. So do we want the rest of the answer or? Yeah. No, it's Dixie's question. She gets to decide. So you're open to the rest of it? Okay, so Now, notice this body language. I'm comforting what I'm about to say. Okay, I'm just going to say it because you guys have listened to me just pour out deep stuff today, and we're good with it, yes? Here's an interesting thing to think about, Dixie. How health conscious are you? Okay, so you understand probiotics and things like that. So what's a probiotic? Can you give her the microphone? Can you? They can't hear you online.
A probiotic would be a good bacteria in your
A good bacteria.
in your
Is that a
system.
living organism?
Yes.
It's a living organism that isn't you,
Yes.
but it's part of you. So here's an interesting thing, is that living organisms have, they have their own form of communication. And so when our biome gets off inside of us and there's too much bad bacteria, guess what? It increases the negative communication that we hear inside our own mind, because it's sending them like cravings. It'll send cravings and negative voices and comments. See, I told you I was going to go really.
No, that makes sense.
Are we too woo-woo here?
No, because those organisms would want, say, sugar
Yep.
in order to survive. And so they would send a message to your brain. Your brain's not actually thinking it. It's getting a message saying,
Yes.
I need this, when really you don't.
And here's the thing, because of the programs inside of our head, whatever one will help that message will be the program that will be loudest. So for example, I'm craving sugar, and the message goes to my brain, crave sugar. And my brain goes, what program will crave sugar? Oh, if people don't like me, I'll crave sugar to numb out the feelings of people not liking me. So now the message goes up, I want sugar. The comments go, people don't like you. Oh, you're right. I should go eat sugar because that will numb it. Do you see how that works? And so it's a crazy cycle that happens. I'm trying to remember your original question now.
How to recognize an
Yeah,
answer from your
how
body.
to recognize it. And so you recognize that one happens. Your me talking to you, you'll recognize that too. You just need to practice it a couple of times and you'll pick it up really quick.
Okay, thank you.
Cool? All right, awesome. Round of applause for Dixie. All right, you guys have pulled deep stuff out of me today. I don't know what it is about May 22nd. Anybody that's been to a body language show before, you know I don't usually go this deep into everything. But we're all still friends, yes? All right. So what are you going to use that I've taught you today? That's the question. What are you going to use? Go ahead. Yeah, I would love to have an answer. Oh, look, right behind you. Other side.
Oh, thank you. So me, having a internal moral inventory is really important. So checking in with myself.
Good.
But I've never thought of communicating to the actual physical parts of myself. And I've had a pain in my left shoulder, for my last 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And so it's it comes back at certain points. And I know it's been something emotional, but now I feel I have more of a door
Okay,
to
so where's it at?
it's right in the middle.
Okay,
It's
so if you,
by my heart almost.
so you, if you push on it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when you're pushing on it, ask it, how old is this?
How old is this?
And so what's the first answer that jumps in your head?
8 years?
So it's 8 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then ask it, do I need to know something?
Do I need to know something?
What's the answer?
It's telling me I'm not responsible for something. But it feels deep down there. So I don't know what that is. Could ask it more questions.
So why did you quit rubbing it?
Because I don't want to cry in front of all you
That's what
people.
I thought. So thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
But you quickly felt it.
Yeah.
You know that it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so finish that conversation out, because there's something for you to get to let go of right there.
You want me to do that right now?
No, you don't have to do it
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
cool. No,
I won't make you cry in front of everybody, because I could see that you were going to quickly be to tears.
Yeah.
And so I won't make you do that in front of
Yeah,
everybody.
I intend on
But-
finishing that.
But don't let it go, because it'll stay there.
Yeah.
It's trying to help you see it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, round of applause for Jordan again. So the question was, what are you going to use? So now Jordan knows what he's going to use. He's going to go have a conversation with his shoulder because it's already started, and he feels it there. So what are you going to use? What are you going to do? Yeah, would you please?
So I have a 19-year-old daughter who her body language definitely shows that she's not feeling good about herself. She's got a low self-esteem. I already knew that, but I really...
Yeah, mom doesn't have to have
Yeah,
body language,
yeah.
just to know that.
But I feel like I know just based on experience that she does not listen when I say, okay, I've learned this at this class that I've gone to.
that works.
Yeah, and so, but I really liked what you said about just focusing on one thing. You know, just 45 seconds of one thing. And so I think that's something that I can take home with me, is just to take one thing that I've learned and not necessarily say that I've learned it in a class, but just say, you could try this.
Yeah.
And not make it a big lecture.
You going first. 'Cause
Right.
Every time you set an example. Because here's one thing to know about 19-year-olds. Is 19-year-olds, so let's go back to when she was 6, okay? Back when she was 6, she thought you knew everything. Then she turned 11, and she's like, Mom doesn't know so much. So it went down like this. And so now she got to around 16, and it's like, parents don't know nothing. And she's on her way back up the other side right now, but not very far yet. So a 19-year-old is still in the camp of, my parents don't know that much, but some of the things they told me are actually happening, so maybe they know a little bit. But they don't get all the way back up out of that pit until around, either they have their own child or around 26 years old. And so she's on her way up. And so just because it doesn't seem like she's listening to what you're telling her, some of it is sinking in, and you'll see more of it a little bit later down the timeline. And so keep going and being the example to her. And I like your idea of don't try to preach everything to her, but give her one thing. And this is part of why I put as many trainings online. I don't know if you guys follow me on Facebook or social media, or follow us on YouTube or the TED Talk. I put it out there so that they can hear it from a different voice. Because often our kids don't want to hear it from their own parents, but they're willing to hear it from somebody else. And so, good. I love
I also think she's really uncomfortable watching me change, because I've been to a lot of Mastering Your Influence classes and Art of Mentoring, and she is uncomfortable with the positive.
Well, yeah, because she has learned a certain way of interacting with you. You have her programs and your programs have a compatible, what do you call that, still point. And so as you've started to grow, it's pushed on her programming. And so don't stop. Keep holding your ground. As you hold your new positive ground, she will feel safer in coming to meet you there. So good
Thank
job.
you so
Keep
much.
going.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, round of applause for her. So one thing here to remember with kids, since we're talking about kids and body language, there's some body language that you should avoid with children. And the body language, the biggest thing to avoid with kids is the chopping. We tend to go, get these things done. But chopping sends the message that you're next on the chopping block. And so be careful with choppy body language with kids. Another one is be careful with this weapon right here. This feels like a weapon. What's your name? Jill, will you play with me for a second? So Jill, if Jill's my child and I come up to Jill and Jill hasn't cleaned her room, and I pull out my laser focus weapon right here and I come up to Jill and I'm like, Jill, you need to clean your room. What does that feel like? She's like, she feels it over there for you. She's like, that's stabbing. It feels degrading. But watch, if all I did was take this laser focus and point the energy at the room that needs to be cleaned instead of at Jill, and I don't change anything else, watch the difference. Jill, you need to clean your room. Does that feel different? Because this is a energy focuser right here. And if I use it to drill into Jill, she's going to feel that. But if I point the energy at the room instead, she'll feel more respected and more likely to be able to focus on changing the room. Because when it's pointed at her, it feels like I want her to change. When it's pointed at the room, it's I want the room to change. And that's a lot safer and better message that I want the room to change. Does that make sense? But you can use this for the light side of the force too. Can I say that since Star Wars comes out this weekend? Because what if I did this? If I came up, because this kind of like slides under the defenses. And that's why I don't want to use it in a negative way. But what if I did this? Jill, why are you so amazing? Now it's like going through her defenses and she's like, well, I have a whole bunch of reasons why I want to tell you I'm not amazing, but that's sliding under there and you're like telling me I'm amazing? So sometimes we can use this to slide through the defenses. Does that make sense? Does that feel different if I use it positive instead of negative? Why are you so amazing? So help me out with it. You guys, everybody point to the person next to you and ask them, why are you so amazing? Okay, now notice that body language. Most of you closed your eyes, looked away, turned a little bit because you're like, no, I can't let that good in. Because we have this program that goes through our brain that says, no, if I receive a positive from somebody, that means I'm prideful. I watch that in body language all the time. Somebody gives them a compliment and they're like, oh no, because they don't want to be prideful. Do you give people compliments hoping that they will reject them so they can prove they're not prideful? That's not why you give compliments. We give compliments hoping people will receive them. This is why when I was in California on a vacation, I had this sparkly hat on, and this lady, I saw her change her path just to come across the parking lot to tell me she liked my hat. And when she came across the parking lot, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just had to tell you I love your hat. And I went, oh, thank you. And she responded like this. She went, you're welcome. She was like waiting for me to reject this compliment. And when I didn't, she was like, oh my gosh, I've been received. People actually feel received if you receive their compliment. But we're so busy trying to not look prideful that we push the compliments away. It's a crazy cycle that we go through. So practice receiving, and the people will actually connect with you better. They'll connect with you deeper because you're receiving the positive that they give you. It's the same with gifts. A lot of us avoid gifts because we don't want to have to receive this gift. We don't want to open it and turns out, oh, I don't really love it and now I have to receive it. And so we treat the gift differently and the people feel rejected. Just because you receive a gift and you receive it as if, oh man, I love your intention, thank you so much, doesn't mean you have to keep it forever. You can receive the person without having to be attached to the item for the rest of your life. But some of us needed permission. We need permission to receive the gift without having to be attached to the item. The item and the gift are different. Does that make sense? Okay, so everybody take a deep breath for me. Because we've learned a ton of stuff, true? All right, 3 of you have learned a lot of stuff. Well, the rest of you, I don't know what the rest of you have been doing this whole time, but we have been learning a ton of stuff. Because look, here I have some audio CDs. Does anybody like presents? You do? Because here I have some audio CDs. And these are becoming collector's items because we don't actually print CDs anymore. We just do audio downloads. But these are some actual tangible CDs. You can actually unwrap these, and if you still have a vehicle that has a CD player, you can put it in there. Or if you still have a computer that has that, notice that they don't even have those anymore. That's the reason we're not printing them anymore. But I have these right here. This is called Don't Dump Your Cup. This is about receiving positive in your life. This is also about managing the work-home life balance. It's also about procrastination and why we procrastinate and how to get out of that procrastination. So this is a powerful CD right here. Who has not heard this CD before? You want that one, Jordan? All right, here I have another one. There you go. You can have one too. This one right here is called The Bucket List. This isn't like the bucket list of things to do before you die, which that's a great bucket list to have. But this is how to get out of your comfort zone. This concept I was teaching you right here, this is what I did to make that my default in my life. This is how I learned to put that into practice. And I called it buckets because it made a lot of sense to me at the time that I was putting everything that scared me into one bucket and assuming that it could kill me. But there's a lot of things that are scary that will grow me, not kill me. And I had to learn to separate those out. Who has not heard this one? Okay, here you go. Here, I have another one. There you go. You're welcome. And so then here's another one. This one's called Vision Board Success, how to get the left and the right side of your brain working together towards your goals. Because we have a left and a right side of our brain, and we're usually more dominant in one or the other. And we got to learn to harness the power of both of them. So vision boards is powerful for being able to do that. Who has not heard this one? You haven't heard that one? Okay, so here you go. And will you pass that one back to her? There you are. Okay, so when you listen to these CDs and then put them into practice, this is changing your programming, which will change your body language. When you change your body language, it will change your programming, and it runs a full cycle. So we can either work on the body language, or on the programming, or on both. If you get all crazy, you could do both. Isn't that awesome? So when I left the Master Your Influence class and I was driving home and I was like, what am I going to do in my body language? What am I going to change? Because I didn't know. And I'm driving and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do. But I wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to change. So I pulled into the garage, and as I walk into the house and opened the door, all of my kids happened to be sitting in the family room. And you know how that is. It's not very often they're all in the same spot. And I'm like, oh, shoot, here's my chance. What am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I walked up to the door, and I'm like, hi, everyone, I'm home. And my kids are like, what's wrong with Mom? And I'm like, no, I'm going to own this. And all of a sudden, my 13-year-old ran across the room and hugged me. My kids were so hungry for me to be open to them that they would take this corny version of Mom over the one that had been pushing them away. It doesn't have to take a big change to get a big change. And so any piece you put into practice is going to make a difference in your life. It's going to make a difference. And so go change something. Go change something about your body language. Maybe you quit using the pointer finger, and now instead you open your hand when you need to point at the kid, and you gently gesture instead of the pokey, stabby gestures. Instead of chopping, you can talk nicer. You can talk slow down the body language. You don't have to slow down the words, slow down the body language. Don't use punchy. That's another one. Get this done, okay? That doesn't feel good to kids or spouses. So be careful with this kind, or this kind. And there's also one more. Instead of choppy, we call it slicey dicey. It's just take the chopping board away. It's still choppy. So be careful with those as well. Because whenever we make an upgrade, it changes all of the relationships in our life. Because we, especially as women, I find, I don't know what it's like to be a guy, so I don't know, maybe guys do this too. But for women, I know that we are really good at using words and then adjusting the tone to just cut just a little bit. Have you ever, any girls, can we admit to that? I mean, it's kind of a talent that we have. When we talk, we can say the words and adjust the tone so it just cuts a little, but we can be totally innocent because, oh, that's not what I said. But the tone, poke just a little bit. So when we adjust our body language, it actually helps adjust the tone too. When I talk to people over the phone, I can hear their body language because the tone comes out. And I know what probably accompanied that body language. So if you are talking to somebody on the phone, adjust your body language and you'll sound better. When you're typing an email, if you adjust your body language, it actually will adjust the way you type your email or your text. Because it's crazy, you guys, but we've gone so deep, I'm just going to go more woo-woo now. So when you are typing a text message, your tone of voice sometimes comes across in that text message. Have you noticed? And so if you adjust your body language, if you are feeling the afternoon slump and you put your shoulders back up, put your chin above level, if you're on the phone, if you stand up, if you smile while you're doing the text or on the phone, it will change the message that gets sent. It will change it. You guys, it's such a superpower. You have no idea how cool it is. This is why I do what I do. This is why I've spent tens of thousands of hours on body language, because it is amazing the result it can have for you. Is that cool? You guys learned something today? All right. So those of you who have been to Master Your Influence, who is coming back to Master Your Influence? Any of you? Are you going to come again? How many times have you come? Twice? How many times have you come? Your schedule. Oh, to come for the first time. Oh, you haven't been yet. Oh, awesome. How about you? Your second time? And his first time. Awesome. So would you guys pass out that flyer really quick? So this is the Master Your Influence class that we're talking about that they've been to. When you come to that class, thank you so much, notice that it says right here in the lower left-hand corner, it says you'll learn 3 keys to overcoming your mental filters, 15 principal areas of body language, and 3 effective steps to recalibrate your mind. This is what the mind looks like, and when you recalibrate it, it is an upgrade. It's powerful. So the next Master Your Influence class will be in August. We just had one 2 weeks ago at the Salt Palace. Were you at that one? You were there? Awesome. Were you at that one 2 weeks ago? No, you were earlier? Awesome. I'm glad you were there. So when you come to that class, there are other classes on the planet. My daughter just went to one where she flew to San Diego, California, and to go to that class, it was $1,800 for a 2-day class that she paid to go there. And when she got home, she goes, "Mom, I didn't learn more there than I learned at the classes that you teach at." And I'm like, I know. It's not that our classes aren't an $1,800 value. It's that we choose to open them up to more people. And we want to take away people's chicken exits. So if you notice on there, this 3-day class is, what's the tuition? $227. Now, when my husband signed me up for the class, it was more than that. So back 9 years ago now, when I first went to that class, it was more than that to go to the class. And was it worth it? Absolutely. I've used it every day of my life since. And so when you come to that class, just because the tuition is $227 doesn't mean we don't teach at this level right here. The majority of the class is taught by the owner of the company, Kirk Duncan. He's the one that I learned from when I first came. This class, you'll see me there a little bit, but I teach more at other classes like Art of Mentoring, Present Yourself. I teach the Break Free Intensive class and the group mentoring. But when you come to this Master Influence class, it is a foundational class for everything else that we teach, those of you that have come. Because you came here today, you or anyone you want to sign up, because my husband signed me up at the class, so I understand that, you get a special offer, and that is this. I have here those 3 CDs, those 3 audios, Vision Board, The Bucket List, and Don't Dump Your Cup. There's also one called Building a Mind of Steel. And if you've listened to that one, that's about how to reduce the negative mind chatter in your head and increase the positive. Those 4 audio CDs, when you register here today, those are a gift for you. You get all 4 of those as a gift. Now, to purchase those, if you purchase these 3 CDs, I have a third one called Perfection is a Direction. If you purchase those 3 while you're here, it's $27. So those 4 CDs together are actually a $37 value. We used to sell them for $74, but we've recently also, now that it's a download, we've tried to make it more accessible to people as well. So you get that bonus. You get that bonus when you register while you're here today. So I still have 3 more CDs. Who didn't get a CD yet? Anybody want a CD? Which one did you want? That one? Wait, is that the same one you got? No. Okay, you guys got different ones? Awesome. All right, so isn't that fun to get presents, you guys? Yay! So now when you register for the Master Influence or you register somebody else, you'll get all 4 of those audio CDs. And I'm going to give you a special tuition because you came to the class today. But before I give you that tuition, I just want you to know, choose in at this level. Because we're not going to teach at a lower level. We're going to teach at this level. We're going to teach up here. So just know it will be less than this, and it will come with those bonus audios, another $37 value. So all of that is available because you came here today. But I'm also going to tell you this. Because you guys were this interesting group that pulled all this deep information out of me, I suggest that some of you should be coming to my group mentoring. Because my group mentoring, we work together for 3 months. And we meet here in this room, or you can watch it online twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month. And you get a video and audio recording of every class so that you can go back and watch them. In between classes, you have conference calls and accountability phone calls for your action steps towards your goals. It is a 3-month incubator to help you get to your goals. And then you have classes to come here where I'm live, where you can ask me questions. Did you guys learn something this morning? Imagine doing that every other week for the next 3 months. I will help you with all the expertise I have to move towards your goals. That's what I'm here for. So if some of you are interested in that, come talk to me afterwards because I will give you special tuition for that one as well. Cool? Okay, so here it is. $227, I'm going to give you special tuition for this. If you want to register you or somebody else, you go out to the table out here and they will help you register for this class. Those of you who are online, they are going to give you a link to go to. You need to register today. You need to register while you're here today. Once you leave, this offer is no longer available for you. So you guys that are here, you need to register while you're here. And I'm supposed to only let the first 10 of you get those 4 CDs, but if you don't tell anybody, everybody who signs up before they leave will get those 4 audio CDs. Is that cool? Are you guys okay with that? 2 of you? Okay. So before I put the other tuition, are there any questions about this offer? That is a really good question. I'm glad you asked that one because I totally didn't write that up here. The next one is August 2nd through the 4th. And the next one after that is November 1st through the 3rd. So those are the next 2 dates of that class. That was a great question. It is at the Salt Palace. And when you come a little early the first day so you can get your name tag, and you will receive an electronic manual for the class. So you're welcome to bring your electronic device and use that, or you're welcome to print it out and bring it with you. But it has so much information in it, the manual for the class. So you'll get that to have for the class. Bring something to take notes on, because you want to take a couple of notes at the class, right? They're just a few pages of notes. Yeah. The name tags, so that if you get called up on stage and you can't remember your name, you can look down and cheat. You'll have a cheat, okay? Did I tell you it's at the Salt Palace? And when you come into the class, there's usually about 1,000 people in the class. And when you come in, you'll see a big screen up on both sides of the stage, because we want everybody to have the best seat in the house, so everybody can see really well. We pay close attention to detail because we want it to be a safe place and an easy place for your brain to retain the information. Okay. So here's the tuition. You get those 4 audio CDs. You or anyone else you want to sign up, here is your tuition. What is it? $79. Is it because we're going to teach a $79 class? No, we're going to teach an $1,800 class, but you get to come for $79 because of the attitude you brought with you today. So thanks you guys for doing that. Was that me? Okay, that was scary. So you guys that are online, they're going to give you a post or a link that you can go to so that you can register. Yes? The dates on the link are wrong? Okay, so did you guys hear that online? The link that they're giving you, the dates are not correct. These are the correct dates, right, Cameron? These are the correct dates. So these dates right here are correct. August 2nd through the 4th, or November 1st through the 3rd. So whatever the link says, correct it to this. But take advantage of it. All right, if you're interested in that group mentoring offer, come talk to me, but give yourselves a big round of applause for being here today. You guys are awesome. Thank you.